They called it the one force, not a weapon, not an empire, not even a person, a nightmare. Every alien race knew the story, but no one ever told it out loud. It was the kind of legend you whispered only in dark rooms where no recording devices could hear, and tonight, it had just awakened. It started with a sound, a slow, broken transmission, an alien distress call that should never have reached human ears. It was old, ancient, so ancient that no modern species even used that frequency. Anymore, it should have been impossible, but in the endless dark between the stars, it came alive again. Whispering through static, a voice cold and desperate. Help, can't contain it. Dead, all dead. Do not answer. Do not. Then, silence. Most ships would have deleted it instantly. Every alien species in the galaxy had a standing order ignore it, because everyone knew where that signal came from. The dead zone. On the bridge of the HSS Dauntless, Captain Elias Stone sat back in his chair. Eyes fixed on the repeating signal around him, his crew traded nervous glances. This can't be real, murmured Ensign Carter, his voice barely above a whisper. It's real, said Navigation Officer Leanne, not looking up from her console. The beacon's source is charted, exactly where the stories say it is. Stone's voice was calm, but his eyes were sharp. The dead zone. Leanne nodded slowly. Coordinates match exactly. No ships ever returned from there, sir. Our alien allies will tell us the same thing. We shouldn't go. They told him exactly that. Minutes later, the Dauntless's come screen lit up with the face of a Zorthi ambassador, a tall, insect-like alien whose antennae shook in agitation. Human captain, listen to me carefully. If intercepted, the call, no living fleet responds to it. Ever. Not the Drexy, not the Valen, not even the Old Guard. Stone leaned forward. Why? The alien's mandibles clicked in irritation. Because the thing that sleeps there is not meant to wake again. It ended the First War. It ended whole civilizations. It is the one force. And you're telling me to ignore a distress call? Stone asked. The alien didn't blink. I am telling you to survive. The channel? Cut. The bridge was silent, except for the soft hum of the ship's engines. Stone turned to Leanne. Plot a course to those coordinates. Leanne stared at him in disbelief. Sir, with all due respect, did you hear what they said? We're talking about the thing that terrifies every spacefaring species. They're not scared of much, but they're scared of this. Stone didn't raise his voice. They say no ships return. They also say no ships try. That's different. 2 hours later, the Dauntless was at FTL, streaking through the silent corridors of space toward the dead zone. The crew avoided talking about it. But the tension was everywhere. Hands moved a little slower over controls. Eyes lingered on the dark corners of the bridge. Even the ship's AI had lowered its voice to a whisper. Leanne broke the silence first, sir. The dead zone. It's not just empty space. It's wrong. Our sensors can't read its interior. The coordinates. They almost shift, like they don't want to be pinned down. Stone frowned. Could be gravitational distortion. Could be a cloak. Or Leanne hesitated. Could be something alive. They were 4 jumps away when the first warning signs appeared. Lights flickered on the lower decks. COMMs. Picked up faint whispers, too garbled to understand Carter. Swore he saw movement outside the observation windows, but there was nothing there. The AI reported phantom mass readings. Something big. Moving alongside them, then gone. The last jump came too fast. One moment, the stars were streaking past. The next, everything was still. The crew looked up at the view screen and saw it. A derelict. Not just large Titanic. It dwarfed the Dauntless like a whale beside a minnow. Its hull was blackened. Twisted, scarred by weapons no one could name. Some sections glowed faintly, like embers that refused to die. Others were frozen solid. Jagged ice crystals hanging in the vacuum. The ship's design didn't match any known species. It wasn't Drexy. It wasn't VAY. Len. It was older, much older. The distress beacon came from deep within its core. The sound was clearer now, almost human in cadence. Please, someone, anyone. It's coming back. Stone gave the order to hold position. The crew's voices dropped. 2 whispers again, no power signatures. Leanne reported. No life signs either, it's a ghost. Then who's sending the signal? Stone asked. That's when it happened. A sound, sharp and sudden, echoing through the Dauntless's hull. Once, twice, 3 times, a knock, not random, not metallic. Echo, rhythmic, deliberate, every head on the bridge turned toward the sound. It came again and again, from the direction of the derelict, like something inside was knocking to be let out. Stone didn't speak for a long moment. When he did, his voice was almost a whisper. Get us closer. That's where part 1 ends. And that's where the real nightmare begins. The Dauntless drifted closer, inch by inch, its engines humming like a heartbeat in the dark. The derelict loomed ahead, so massive it blocked out the stars. Its surface was a graveyard of scars, gashes big enough to swallow the Dauntless whole. No lights, no movement. Yet, the knocking continued, rhythmic, patient, like someone had been knocking for a very, very long time. Source. Captain Elias Stone's voice was steady, but the crew heard the tightness underneath. Coming from the ship's forward section, Navigation Officer Leanne said, near what would be a main airlock, maybe. But there's no power, no atmosphere. Then how are we hearing it? No one answered. The Dauntless's AI, a calm female voice called Holly, spoke quietly. Captain, the sound is not traveling through space. It's coming through our sensors directly. It's as if it's being transmitted to us. Carter shivered. So, something is knocking. Not on the ship, but on us? The knock came again, harder this time, and every light on the bridge flickered once. Prep a boarding team, Stone said. The words hit the crew like a shockwave. Even Leanne's fingers froze above her console. Sir, I don't. That's an order. Officer, Stone said, voice low but firm. They suited up in silence. The boarding team was small, Stone himself, Leanne Carter, and Chief Engineer Cade. They moved through the airlock and into the dark, crossing open space in a shuttle until the derelict's black hull filled the viewport. Up close, the ship's damage was even stranger. Some of the burns looked like energy weapon strikes, but others were too clean, as if whole sections had simply vanished. No scorch marks, no debris, just missing. They found the airlock by following the knock. It was old, mechanical, the manual crank. Stone reached for it and stopped. The knock had stopped too. Pressure reading, Stone asked Arcade. Checked his wrist display. 0. No air inside. Then, but didn't finish. Stone turned the crank. The hatch groaned, ancient metal protesting the movement. It opened into a long corridor. Walls made of some black alloy that absorbed light instead of reflecting it. Their helmet lamps barely pierced the gloom dot inside. It smelled of nothing. The air was dead. No dust. No decay. They moved slowly. The corridor twisted in strange, almost organic curves. Every intersection was wrong somehow. Angles that felt unnatural. Distances that seemed to shift when you looked away. Hella's voice came through their helmet coms. Warning. Mapping sensors cannot lock onto interior layout. Pathfinding is unstable. Carter muttered. This place doesn't want us here. As they advanced, faint lights began to appear along the walls. Not bright, but pulsing. They weren't electric lights. They looked alive. Like veins glowing under skin, the pulses matched the rhythm of the knocking. Captain Leanne's voice was uneasy. These lights, they're reacting to us. Every time one of us steps forward, they brighten. Stone kept moving. Then, Maybe they're leading us somewhere. After what felt like an hour, though, their clock said only minutes, they reached a large door. And it was unlike anything else on the ship. Silver instead of black, covered in strange symbols. Some symbols glowed faintly, others stayed dark. Language match, Stone asked. Holly was silent for a moment. Partial match to old human glyphs, but from no known Earth culture. That made everyone stop. Old human, Leanne repeated. This ship isn't human-made. How can before she could finish, the door split down the middle with a hiss. Cold mist rolled out beyond it. It was a single chamber, circular, empty. Except for the thing at its center. It was a stasis pod. Tall, sealed in frost, and inside. A figure, humanoid, broad-shouldered, armored in something blacker than space itself. The helmet was smooth, featureless, till two faint points of light flickered where eyes should be. The knocking had stopped. Is that? Carter's voice broke. Is that a human? Stone took a slow step closer. Maybe, maybe not. Hallie's voice crackled through again. Captain, you need to see this. That armor? It's registering as older than the galaxy itself by known measurement standards, and the readings. The readings say he's alive. Before anyone could respond, the eyes inside the helmet flared brighter. Once, twice, then stayed lit. Captain Leanne whispered, He's waking up. The frost on the pod's surface began to melt in long rivulets, steam hissing into the chamber. Inside, the fingers twitched, flexing slowly, like someone testing their strength after a long sleep. The pod seals began to release with sharp metallic snaps. Stone raised his weapon not to shoot, but to be ready. The final seal released. Of the pod hissed open, the figure stepped forward. Even in armor, he moved with a precision and weight that felt dangerous. Not hostile, not yet, but dangerous. He turned his head, looking at each of them in turn. When his gaze fell on Stone, he stopped, and then he spoke. Perfect English. Deep, calm. You came. The four of them froze. Stone managed to find his voice. You sent the signal? The figure tilted his head. I called, and you answered. You are not Drexy. You are not Valen. You are human. Of course we are. Who else would we be? Stone said. The figure's head tilted the other way, almost like he was curious. You are not, my humans. The silence in the room felt heavier than gravity. Leanne spoke quietly. What do you mean you're humans? The figure took another slow step forward. I am from the first Earth, before your Earth existed, before this galaxy was young. I am the One Force. The name hit them like a blade through the chest. Every alien story, every warning, every fear had just taken shape in front of them. You shouldn't be here, the figure said softly. They will come, all of them, to end me again. Stone's eyes narrowed. Who's they? The figure turned toward the dark door behind them. You will know soon enough. Before Stone could press for more, Halla's voice cut in sharply. Captain. Multiple warp signatures inbound. Dozens. No, hundreds of ships. Alien fleets. Converging on your location. Leanne's voice was a whisper. They knew. The moment he woke up, the figure of the One Force straightened to his full height. The chamber seemed smaller with him standing there. They are not here to talk. They are here to kill you. And to make sure I never leave this place again. That's when the derelict's walls began to hum. Deep, resonant. The floor shifted under their feet as if the whole ship was coming alive. Stone stared at the One Force. What are you doing? One Force turned his glowing eyes toward him. Taking the helm. Outside, the derelict's ancient engines roared to life, and the galaxy's most feared warship began to move. The Dauntless was no longer drifting. The derelict, his ship moved now with purpose. Engines rumbling like the growl of some enormous beast waking from hibernation. Every deck vibrated. Every wall hummed with energy far older than anything the human crew had ever known, and at its center stood the One Force. he didn't touch. Controls he didn't need to. The ship obeyed him as if it could hear his thoughts. Stone kept his weapon low, but ready. Where exactly are we going? The One Force's head turned slightly. Out, to meet them. Leanne's voice cracked through the helmet comes. Captain, incoming fleets have adjusted course. They'll intercept in minutes. Talking. Dozens of species. This is the biggest hostile convergence I've ever seen. The One Force didn't flinch. They're afraid. They have reason to be. Stone stepped closer, his voice low. I'm going to need answers right now. The armored figure regarded him for a long moment, then slowly reached up and unlocked his helmet. The hiss of seals releasing filled the chamber. He removed the helmet, revealing a face that made the entire team freeze. Human, completely human, short dark hair, streaked with silver. Not glowing now, but an unsettling shade of gray, as if they'd stared into something beyond the limits of reality and come back changed. His skin carried faint. Thin scars and patterns no human war had ever made. I was born, he said quietly. Before your Earth existed, Leanne shook her head. That's impossible. Humanity evolved on Earth. Your Earth, he interrupted. Not mine. I came from First Earth, the original. The one that seeded life across the stars. We built an empire. And we fought a war that almost ended all life in this galaxy. Stone frowned. What war? The One Force's jaw tightened. The War of Collapse. Against the Veilborn. They were not like your enemies today. They were beyond matter, beyond time. They fed on reality itself. We created weapons and soldiers that could fight them on their level. I was one of those soldiers. He looked away for a moment, his voice lower now. They called us the One Force because we fought as one mind. Every soldier connected, every thought shared. We could strike faster than any fleet, break any defense. We won the war, but at a cost. Stone could feel the weight in the man's voice. What cost? The One Force turned back to him. There was pain in his eyes now. The galaxy feared us. Even after the war, they saw us as weapons, not people. They decided we could not be allowed to live. Silence. The hum of the ancient engines filled it. Leanne spoke softly. They betrayed you. He nodded. They hunted us, one by one, until I was the last. It trapped me in stasis, here buried in the dead zone. Swore to every living species that my prison would remain sealed forever. Stone took a breath, till we answered your call. The One Force studied him for a moment. I did not call you, my ship did. It must have sensed danger or opportunity. Outside the chamber, warning tones rang through the Dauntless's comm channels. Shalley's voice was tense. Multiple fleets. Now in weapons range, their firepower is overwhelming. Captain, the derelict is charging unknown systems, possibly weapons. Stone turned back to the One Force. If we're about to fight, you need to tell me if this ship can survive that. The faintest ghost of a smile touched the ancient soldier's lips. This ship fought the Veilborn. Your fleets will not be a problem. The floor shook as the derelict accelerated. Through the viewports, the stars shifted. The enemy fleets appeared. Dozens of ships in tight formations. Massive dreadnoughts. Swarms of smaller strike craft. Species that normally hated each other. And working together for one goal: destroy the derelict and its pilot. They hailed the Dauntless first. The bridge view screen lit up with the face of a Valen admiral, tall, armored in gleaming bone plates, eyes like burning coals. Human vessel, the alien growled. You have taken aboard the One Force. That was your last mistake. Hand him over or be annihilated. Stone didn't flinch. You're telling me to betray the only reason we're still alive right now? The Valen's lip curled. He is not your ally. He will turn on you as he did on us. Stand down. The One Force stepped into the view screen's frame.
The alien
Froze mid-sentence, the Admiral breathed. I watched you die. What? The One Force said simply. Then he cut the transmission. Stone's voice was low. They're not going to talk again, are they? The One Force's eyes hardened. No. What happened next was, unlike any battle the crew had ever seen, the derelict's hull lit with lines of pale light, forming patterns that moved like living things. Its engines flared once, and the entire ship vanished. Leon gasped. We jumped. No, we're still here. How her words cut off as the enemy fleet's formation broke in sudden panic. The derelict reappeared directly inside there. Lines impossibly close. Moving like it didn't obey the same laws of inertia or mass dot, weapons fired, but the shots never hit. They bent. They twisted. They simply missed, as if space itself refused to let them touch the ancient ship. And then the derelict fired back. It wasn't like modern weapons. No beams, no missiles, just bursts of white light that lasted less than a second. Every ship touched by that light simply wasn't there anymore. No explosion, no debris. Gone. Stone gripped the arm of his chair. This isn't a fight. It's an execution. The One Force didn't respond. His focus was absolute. Every movement of the ship was precise, almost graceful. In minutes, the largest of the enemy cruisers were gone, the smaller craft scattered. But the derelict hunted them without mercy, and then the coms lit up again. This time it wasn't the Valen. It was an alien Stone had never seen before. Tall, pale, with skin like liquid silver. The voice that came through was calm. It's to calm. Ancient One, it said. You cannot win this. Stand down and return to your sleep, or we will end you again. For the first time since waking, the One Force's expression changed. Anger. Pure and cold. These are the betrayers, he said to Stone. The ones who locked me away. The ones who erased my people. Stone opened his mouth, but before he could speak, a massive shape emerged from the darkness behind the betrayers. Fleet. A dreadnought so vast it made the derelict look small. Its weapons glowed with a deep red light. And it was charging for a single, devastating shot. Holly's voice rang through the ship. Warning, enemy weapon power levels exceed safe engagement thresholds. Recommend immediate, evasive. The AI's voice cut off as the red glow became blinding. The One Force's eyes narrowed. Stay behind me. The derelict turned directly toward the dreadnought. Instead of dodging, it accelerated. The view outside became a blur as the ancient ship and the betrayer's flagship closed the distance at impossible speed. Energy crackled across the derelict's hull, and something deep inside the ship began to roar like a living thing. Leon's hands gripped her console. Captain, if they fire, we're all dead. Stone didn't look away from the viewport. Then let's hope he knows what he's doing. The red light reached its peak. The betrayers fired. The beam hit the derelict dead on, and the entire universe went white. That's where Part 3 ends. Right at the flash, so the audience has to click Part 4 to find out if anyone survived. When the light faded, the Dauntless was still there. Derelict was still there. The crew, alive somehow. The beam from the betrayer's dreadnought had not torn them apart. Leanne blinked against the afterimage, her voice trembling in Stone's earpiece. We took a direct hit that should have vaporized us. Stone's hands gripped the arms of his chair. It didn't even scratch the paint. The One Force stood perfectly still at the center of the chamber. His armor glowed faintly now, light crawling across the black plating like veins of fire. They have learned nothing, he said softly. They tried this once before, and failed then too. The betrayers hailed them again. The silver-skinned alien appeared on the view screen, its face calm, but its voice sharp. Ancient One, we warned you. Defy the pact by waking. You threaten the balance. This is your last chance. Surrender to us, or we will burn every human. World to ash. Stone's eyes narrowed. This isn't just about him, is it? You're threatening us now. Earth. My people. The alien's gaze shifted to Stone. You are children. You play with weapons you cannot control. The One Force will destroy you, as he destroyed the ones before you. That is his nature. Leanne's voice rose in anger. You're scared of him. That's all this is. You're scared because he's human. The alien's expression didn't change. We fear what he becomes when humans unite. You spread faster than any other species. You adapt. You fight when you should surrender. With him among you, the galaxy would burn. Stone didn't blink. That's not your decision. To make the betrayer's eyes hardened. Then you will share his fate. The transmission cut. The one force finally turned toward Stone. They will not stop. Not while I live. Not while you live. Stone studied him for a long moment. You think they'll follow us back to Earth? Yes. And they will bring every fleet they can call. Cade's voice came through the comes from the engineering deck. Captain, I'm no tactician, but if what he says is true, we've got maybe 20 minutes before they surround us completely. The derelicts got power, but if they box us in, they won't box us in. The one force interrupted. It will force us into a trap. He stepped to the derelict's central control pillar. With a touch, the black alloy shifted like liquid, forming glowing maps in the air. Dozens of red dots pulsed in tight formation, the enemy fleets. They're driving us toward the rift, the one force said. It's an ancient weapon graveyard, but it's also a dead zone for navigation. Once we're in, only they know the safe paths out. Stone frowned. So they're not trying to kill us here. They're trying to lock us in. The one force nodded. They want me alive. At least long enough to strip the ship's systems and erase my mind. Leanne stepped forward. So why not run the other way? The one force's eyes narrowed. They've already positioned fleets in the other directions. This battle was decided before we arrived. For a long moment, no one spoke. The tension on the bridge was heavy, like the air before a thunderstorm. Finally, Stone said quietly, then we fight our way out. The one force regarded him for several seconds, and then the faintest flicker of respect crossed his expression. So be it. The derelict's engines roared again. From the outside, it looked like a wounded predator turning to face the hunters. Enemy fleets moved in perfect coordination, tightening the circle. Warships filled the void in every direction. Bright pinpoints of weapons fire began to flash in the darkness, not aimed to hit, but to drive the derelict toward the rift. Hallie's voice was calm but urgent. Captain, incoming hail from multiple fleets. They're all saying the same thing. Leave him. Yeah. Run. Stone didn't answer. He watched the one force, watched the way he stood, the way his hands rested at his sides, not tense, not nervous, ready. And then something unexpected happened. One of the approaching fleets, a smaller group of insectoid Zorathi warships, broke formation. Instead of firing on the derelict, they opened a private channel to the Dauntless. The Zorathi commander's image flickered onto the secondary screen. Its antennae quivered with fear. Human captain, this is madness. Do not understand the thing you have awoken. This one force, he cannot be controlled. He destroyed our homeworld in the last age. If you care for your species, you will jettison him into space and flee. Stone's jaw tightened. What if I told you maybe your homeworld wasn't destroyed by him, but because someone used him? The alien hissed. You think he will tell you the truth? He is a soldier. Soldiers follow orders until they decide the orders no longer matter. Then they follow only their nature, and his nature is war. Before Stone could reply, the signal died. The Zorathi ships fell back into formation with the betrayers. The one force turned his head slightly toward. Stone, they will all tell you the same thing, that I am in danger, now that I am the monster. Stone studied him. Are they wrong? Pause, a long one. When the one force finally spoke, his voice was quiet. I was built for war. I've killed more beings than you can imagine. If you ask me to, I will kill again. But I am not your enemy, unless you choose to make me one. Before Stone could answer, Hell-Eye's voice broke through again. Captain, new contact. Extremely large mass signature. X-ing warp directly. Ahead, the main view screen shifted. The crew saw it. A ship so vast, it looked like a moving continent. The betrayer's flagship, black and silver. Its surface bristling with weapons larger than city blocks. Its arrival sent a ripple through the enemy fleets. They adjusted positions instantly. Tightening the noose around the derelict, the One Force's gaze locked on the flagship. That is the ship that ended my people. That is the ship that sealed me away. His voice had changed now. Colder. They will not leave this place alive. The derelict's interior shifted again, the black alloy reshaping itself. Into control stations, weapon arrays, glowing conduits. It was as if the entire ship had been sleeping until now, was only beginning to wake. Leanne gripped the edge of her console. Captain, we can't possibly take on that thing. Stone looked at her. We don't have a choice. The betrayers hailed them one last time. The silver-skinned alien from before appeared again, standing on the bridge of the massive flagship. This is your end, Ancient One, and you, human captain. Your people will remember you as the fool who brought destruction to their door. The One Force stepped forward, his eyes glowing faintly again. No. They will remember me as the last wall between them and you. The transmission cut. And then the derelict moved. Its engines flared brighter than they had since waking. The ancient ship surged toward the flagship, weaving through incoming fire with impossible precision. Enemy ships broke apart in its wake, torn to pieces by weapons that burned white-hot and silent. On the Dauntless, the crew braced as the ship rode the derelict's slipstream, shielded by its power. The flagship's weapons locked on. The space between the two ships seemed to shrink in seconds. Stone's voice was steady. All hands, hold on. The One Force didn't look back. He simply whispered, time to end this. Outside, the flagship's primary cannon began to glow inside. The derelict's core answered with its own light, both ships charging for the strike. The distance between them closing, and just as the first shot fired, everything went black. When the lights came back, the stars were gone. Only darkness, drifting shapes that were not ships, not asteroids, but wreckage. Colossal wreckage. Warhulks from 1,000 forgotten battles. Some split open like tin cans, others still glowing faintly from old weapon burns. Leanne's voice was tight. Captain, we're in the rift. Stone scanned the screens. No navigational signals, no beacons, just the chaos of twisted metal and dead holes. This is their trap, he murmured then. The betrayer's flagship emerged from the gloom. It slid into view like a predator in deep water, weapons glowing faintly in the dark. Behind it, dozens of smaller warships fanned out. They had followed the Dauntless and the derelict into the rift. The One Force stood unmoving at the center of the derelict's control chamber. He looked different, more awake. The light beneath his armor pulsed like a heartbeat. This place, he said quietly, is where they bury the past. Stone glanced at him. You've been here before? Yes, once, in the last days of the old war. His voice carried weight now. This was where the galaxy united to destroy my kind. Halai's calm voice broke the silence. Captain, betrayer ships are locking weapons. The first volley came without warning. Lances of blue-white energy tore through the void, striking the derelict's shields. The shields didn't shatter. They bent, warping like ripples in water, then snapped back into place. Leanne's eyes widened. I've never seen shields do that. The One Force's gaze stayed on the flagship. They are learning. They will adapt. We must move. The derelict turned sharply, sliding through the debris like a knife through silk. The Dauntless stayed. Close behind, weaving through wrecks the size of cities, the enemy followed. Their formation split, half flanking, half driving straight at the humans. Stone's jaw tightened. They're hurting us deeper in. Yes, the One Force replied, but they forget. I know this place better than they do. The derelict's black alloy shifted again, opening strange ports along its sides. From them light poured, and objects began to emerge. Small at first, then larger. Leanne leaned forward. Those are drones. They weren't like any drones she'd seen. They were living metal, twisting and reshaping themselves as they flew. Some formed long, spear-like shapes. Others became spinning shields. They shot into the debris field and vanished. Seconds later, the enemy's left flank exploded in chaos. Betrayer ships spun out of control, colliding with drifting wrecks as the living drones tore into their hulls like swarms of piranha. Cade's voice came from engineering. "Captain, the energy spikes from those drones are off the charts. They're running on something way beyond fusion." The One Force didn't look at him. They'd run on the same thing I do. The flagship pressed on, ignoring its losses. Its main cannon began to glow again. Stone felt the hairs on his arms rise. Brace the blast ripped through the void and hit one of the massive wrecks just ahead. The wreck moved. At first, Stone thought it was drifting. Then the light shifted, and he realized it wasn't a wreck at all. It was a ship, a living ship. Its surface shifted like molten metal, glowing lines tracing patterns across its hull. It was bigger than the flagship. It's older than anything the crew had ever seen, and it was waking up. Leanne whispered, "Oh my God." The One Force's voice was almost reverent. "I did not think any of them survived." The living ship turned its vast, eyeless face toward the derelict, and then it spoke. Not in sound, but in thought. A deep, resonant voice in every mind. "On the Dauntless you return, child of war." "Why?" The One Force bowed his head slightly, to finish what was left undone. The voice was silent for a long moment. Then it said, "The rift is not yours to claim. But if you fight with us." Without warning, the living ship lunged toward the betrayer fleet. Its hull split open, releasing hundreds of blazing shapes, living weapons that struck faster than light. The flagship reeled under the assault. Stone gripped the arm of his chair. What the hell? What just happened? The One Force's eyes glowed. The old Guardians have chosen to join us. The rift erupted into chaos. Living ships moved among the dead wrecks, striking betrayer vessels from every angle. The derelict fired weapons so bright they cut through enemy shields like paper. The Dauntless stayed in the shadow of the ancient warship, avoiding direct hits. But still feeling the shock waves of each exchange, Holly spoke again, her tone tight. "Captain, flagship shields are at 70%. But they're targeting us now." Stone didn't hesitate. "All power to forward shields. Keep in the derelict's wake." The Dauntless dove through a gap between two shattered cruisers, enemy fire chasing close behind. The One Force's voice came over. "Comes. Captain Stone, I need your ship to draw them away." Stone frowned. "That's suicide, perhaps. If the flagship focuses on me, they'll bring weapons too powerful for even this ship to withstand. You, however, can slip away in the chaos and strike where they are weakest." Stone's hands tightened on the controls. "And if I refuse?" The One Force's voice softened. "Then we both die here." Stone glanced at Leanne. Her jaw was set, her hands already moving. Over the navigation console. "We're doing it, aren't we?" she asked. Stone nodded once. "We're doing it." The Dauntless peeled away from the derelict, engines flaring bright. Immediately, half the betrayer fleet broke formation to chase them. The Dauntless weaved through the rift, skimming so close to wreckage that its hull scraped ancient metal on the derelict. The One Force stood alone at the command pillar. The living ship fought beside him, both of them pushing toward the flagship. Weapons fire filled the void. The betrayer's main cannon charged for a killing shot. And the One Force whispered, "Not this time." The derelict's core ignited. Light burst from its surface in all directions, a wave of energy so bright it turned the rift into daylight. From the Dauntless, Stone saw it, a wall of white fire sweeping toward the flagship, devouring enemy ships as it came. Then, the rift itself began to change. The debris moved. Old wrecks slid into new positions, forming walls, corridors, a maze. Leanne's eyes went wide. "Alive. The whole rift. It's alive." Stone's voice was quiet. "And we just woke it up." It's the last thing they saw before the maze closed behind them. It's the derelict and the flagship colliding in a storm of light. The stars returned. A moment, that was all that mattered. The Dauntless tore free of the rift, like a drowning diver breaking the surface. The black maze and its blinding storms vanished behind them, swallowed by the dark. No betrayer ships, no derelict, no one force, only silence. The crew said nothing. Not at first. Leanne's fingers trembled over the controls. Coordinates confirmed. We're back in charted space. Stone just stared at the forward screen. Part of him expected the rift to reach out again, drag them back. Minutes passed. Then Holly spoke, her voice low. "Captain, I'm detecting an anomalous mass in our wake." Stone turned sharply. How anomalous? Smaller than the Dauntless. Not a wreck. No transponder. Energy readings. Inconsistent. Leanne's brow furrowed. It could be debris. From the rift? Stone didn't answer. In his gut, he knew it wasn't. He tapped the cum, Cade. Prep the rear turrets. Don't fire unless I say on it, Cap. But what am I shooting at? You'll know when I do. They cut the engines and drifted. The mass behind them drifted too. Hali's sensors wavered, its shifting shape. Multiple times per second. No stable signature. Stone's voice went quiet. Put it on screen. The view snapped too. The aft camera, at first it was just shadow. Then the shadow moved not in one piece, but in layers. Like smoke folding in on itself. A faint glow ran through it, like veins of molten metal. Leanne whispered, "It followed us." The weight of her words, if it had followed, it meant it had survived the rift. It had chosen them then. It spoke. The sound didn't come from the cums. It came from inside their skulls. The war is not finished. Cade swore over the cum. Tell me I'm not the only one hearing that. Stone's grip tightened on his chair. What are you? Shadow shifted again. And for an instant, it took the shape of a figure. Tall. Armored. Like the One Force. But broken. I am what they could not kill. The rift is awake. And I am its will. Hallie's voice cut in. Captain, it's matching our drift. If we accelerate, it accelerates. It is not hostile. Yet. Figure in the shadow tilted its head. And then its voice came again, colder now. They will come for you. The betrayers, the others. All of them. They fear what you carry. Stone frowned. What I carry? No answer. Instead, the shadow. Dissolved, stretching out into a thin, shimmering trail. And slipped forward, past the Dauntless, vanishing into deep space. Cade's voice was tight. Cap, you want to chase that thing? Stone shook his head slowly. No, we're going to see where it wants us to go. For hours, they followed. The faint trace. Every so often, Leanne caught flashes on the sensors. Not the shadow itself, but echoes of it, like ripples on a pond. Then, far ahead, something appeared. Not a planet, not a station, a graveyard. Ships, human, alien, unidentifiable, floated in silent rings around a shattered moon. And in the middle, a single intact vessel. It was small compared to the derelict, but its design was the same living metal. The same pulsing glow. Jolly spoke. That ship is awake. The shadow reappeared then, coiling around the vessel like a guardian. And the voice came one last time. This is the first of your fleet. Take it, before they come. Went dead, no shadow, no rift. Just the living ship waiting in the dark. And the feeling that the galaxy had just shifted under their feet. No one wanted to be the first to board it. The living ship floated in the dark. Metal skin breathing slow, like the ribs of some sleeping beast. It was smaller than the Dauntless. But it felt heavier. It's like it carried something inside that bent the air around it. Stone stared at it through the viewport. It's waiting. Leon's voice was quiet, or watching. Holly interrupted, her tone almost uneasy. Captain, the ship's systems are scanning us. Not with light, not with radio, but with memory. Not words. Not thoughts. Smell. Of burning sky, taste of iron rain, shadows falling like ash. It remembered the rift. It remembered the betrayers. And now, it remembered them. Cade paced near the airlock helmet under his arm. I don't care if it's alive. Ship's a ship. We take it, we fly it home. Stone shook his head. This isn't a salvage op. It's a conversation. Jan glanced at her screen. Captain, it just opened a hatch. It's inviting us. The ramp was warm under their boots, not metal warm. Skin warm. Every step forward felt like stepping deeper into a pulse. The walls shifted slightly, like muscle responding to touch. Cade whispered, feels like walking inside something's throat. Leon shot him a look. Don't start. They entered a wide chamber. The walls glowed faintly, and in the center was a sphere. Clear, yet filled with slow-moving light, like a storm trapped in glass. The voice came again. At this time it didn't sound like the shadow. It sounded younger. One of you may stay. Stone frowned. What do you mean, stay? One of you will be part of me. The rest may command. But only one may know my heart. Leanne's breath caught. You mean a pilot bond? Like neural link tech? Closer? Deeper? Forever? Cade's tone hardened. What happens to the one who stays? The light inside the sphere swirled faster. They will not be as they were. The crew exchanged looks. HLI's voice came over the comm. Captain, betrayer signatures on long-range scan. Multiple. They are coming fast. Stone clenched his jaw. They had minutes. Maybe less. He turned to his crew. If we don't take this ship, we're dead in space before they arrive. Cade stepped forward. We'll do it. Leanne snapped her head toward him. You don't even know what it'll do to you. Cade smirked. Better me than you. Stone looked at them both, then at the sphere. The stormlight inside seemed to lean toward him, listening. Choose. Now. Outside, the betrayers closed in, and the living ship's pulse began to quicken. The storm inside the sphere spun faster, pulling at their breath. Cade stood in front of it, helmet on, visor down. Open it. Step inside. The sphere split soundlessly. Light spilled out, crawling over his armor like living veins. Cade gasped. Then his body went still. Through him, the ship breathed. Through the ship, Cade saw every betrayer ship in the void, every weapon charging, every heartbeat on the Dauntless, and something more. The one force, not a weapon, not a monster. Memory older than the galaxy. Stone's voice broke through. Cade, can you hear me? Cade's reply was layered, his voice in another. I hear you. I hear everything. The living ship turned faster than thought. Weapons that were not weapons lit the dark. Betrayer hulls split apart without. Fire engines died without smoke. The enemy's war fleet became silent ghosts in seconds. Stone's relief turned to unease. Cade's status? Silence? Then Cade spoke again, soft. I'm not coming back, Cap. She needs a pilot. She chose me. Leanne's voice cracked. Cade, no, it's fine. I see now what the one force really is. She's not here to kill, she's here to keep the galaxy from tearing itself apart. The ship began to turn away from the Dauntless. Stone stood at the viewport, fists tight. You'll always have a place here. I'll always hear you. Goodbye, Captain. Living ship jumped to FTL. Vanishing into a single point of light, weeks later whispers spread through the alien networks. Betrayer fleets vanishing without battles. Worlds once at war, now untouched. Stone never said what happened that day, but sometimes, late in the quiet hours, he swore he could hear Cade's voice over the comm. Still here, Cap. Still watching. The end.